Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Start is Near, episode 15. Today is March 15th, 2024. So great numerology and more about numerology from Doc Time and others momentarily. And with that, I welcome you all, love you all, and welcome to The Start is Near, Passing the Feather.
So what I wanted to articulate before, as Doc Time asks, we have been having these discussions for the past little bit. I'm glad Mark is here because, as he eloquently put it in a message to me this morning, he'll handle the universities and we'll handle the elementary schools and the high schools. But as Doc Time was asking before, and just I guess we can, if I may, I can suggest that Franca is kind of our guinea pig for this moment. I know Sienna's going to take it afterwards, but Franco, what would you teach? Like, what are 5 things that you would teach that are not currently being taught in like Western educated, industrialized, rich and democratic countries or any country?
Well, going by what journey I'm on, I'm trying to cleanse myself of the original sin of separation. So we are all one. There's only one of us. Now that may be too far out and too woo-woo, but something along those lines of compassion, of actually you can chill. Somehow there's a plan for you, you're being taken care of, or something like that. And then agency, while we're here in these meat suits, on that level, we can play. And ideally, we play with other people. So collective intelligence and that, and maybe a thing of diversity. People who aren't like me, there's a lot of potential how they can wind me up, trigger me or something. So really grow that capacity in me to not be swayed by my ego all the time, to think somebody is an asshole and an idiot, because that might be my first reaction. So I could go on like this. So it's a bit woo-woo.
It's actually kind of incredible. At what age, before I pass it back to Jamin, at what age do you think you could start teaching these things to kids? Like what cohort?
You start off with the that experiment with the blue eyes and brown eyes.
Do you want to articulate that for the recording? If you want to take a moment for that, yeah. You're cutting it a little bit, Franco. So take a breath and just
the
give
video
it room to
or
breathe.
take students through that.
No, start over again, please. Sorry.
I'm trying to work out if I can make is it my signal or is it the way I speak?
You're fine now. No, you're fine now. It was the signal. Yeah, it's just yeah. Start from the beginning, please.
So as much
you have
as
kids
possible,
in the classroom.
Make it experiential.
I mean, for the recording, can you actually like tell the story of the blue eyes, brown eyes? Yeah.
Okay. As far as I remember it, there was this teacher who one day got so irate about racism, and I don't know if she just did it spontaneously or if she thought it up, but what she did is she asked the kids, are they ready for an experiment? And then with all her authority, it was kind of, the rule was blue-eyed kids are more intelligent. Or I don't know which ones she started out with. And then kids had to like possibly sit in different areas of the classroom as well. And she would observe and the children would behave in that way of as if they were slaves, those brown-eyed kids, and the blue-eyed kids felt superior. Just from that rule that was given to them that was completely random. So that was kind of shocking. It was shocking for the kids as well. And then she changed it the next day and the same thing happened. only I think the kids became a little bit more aware. And I can only give you a very sloppy rendition.
No,
and my
no, this is
memory.
great. Her name's Jane Elliott, by the way, Franca, and it was third graders, but keep going. You've got this.
Mm.
And it was
So,
this succession of small humiliations is what you were going for there.
yes, but everything changed. Their performance in the classroom, their posture, like everything as if they had been subjected to the slave status for decades. It was remarkable how within hours, within minutes, this could be just fabricated, just produced like that. I know too little about it, and she varied it with colors, and I can say it's on YouTube in different lengths. So depending on how much you want to know, it's pretty much all I know. It's my go-to thing. I send other
No,
people there if they want to know
the
it.
other one's The Witch, right? Do you remember The Witch one, Franca?
I do not.
So, teacher tells a class of like fourth graders or fifth graders that they have to identify the witch, and one of them's the witch, and then they form small groups. Yeah, it's like Lord of the Flies kind of thing. And then in the end, the teacher says like, actually, no one was the witch. There's also the werewolf game. I can describe that later, but I know that I'm going to pass around the feather, as Jamie would say. Sienna, go ahead.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here, and I wanted to welcome Waleed below, and I wanted to say I'm so excited to meet you, Franca. Truly, what the list that you just, I mean, I wrote it down. I write everything on canvases, but that is so much in line with what I'm considering like a presentation that I'm about to ask maybe for 10 minutes to present. So Waleed is a good friend of mine, like everybody else on this screen. I mean, he's kind of a new friend of mine. I mean, just over the last, probably month or so, we met on a space that I think I was hosting on homeostasis and wellness, and he just happened to jump in, and everybody said, "Oh my gosh, Waleed's here," and they, were like, "He's like royalty," and in the wellness space, and I was like, "Ooh, this is exciting." And then we started co-hosting a space 3 weeks ago, and it's basically about homeostasis, and it sometimes goes 2, 3. I don't know. We typically run it for 2 hours. This is my daughter Sage.
Do you have Tylenol?
Check in the closet. Yeah.
Tell her that
And
we're real
this closet
people,
is-
Sienna. We're not just a bunch of faces on the screen. We're real people.
Can you say hi?
Hi.
in the back.
I know.
Literally just found a bottle that was in like a suitcase. Just go in my closet. You should be, just look on my, I'm sorry. So anyway, I wanted to welcome him. There's actually a couple of other people who will probably be jumping in to, who will be new. Yes.
Is one of them Sir Digsby?
Yes. Diggity.
Diggy's here.
Yes. Diggy's here. Diggy is one of the most eloquent speakers I've ever heard. And that's a funny picture of Diggy.
Don't pump us up too much, Sienna. I know I've heard him. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Sienna.
No, he's no, Diggy and I have been having some very deep conversations in the DM this week. So I asked him to come and just be a listener today. But if he wants to say hi, he's more than welcome. But I told him this is going to be a very serious session today.
Yeah, that's why I said I wanted to just listen. So hello.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Hello.
Don't
hello,
apologize, Diggity. Yeah.
hello. Hi.
Oh, and this is
everyone.
that is my Ridge. Okay, this is Ridge. He's burping on a Zoom call. Can you say hi? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My family all think that I'm crazy and that I'm not actually working on something. So
We're real people, Sienna. We're real people.
I do have to apologize. I'm only here as a listener, so I'm not going to speak again. I just wanted to hear the idea and the pitch, and Sienna had said that it
Digsby,
would be
we've
interesting
got
for
you.
me to.
It's madness here, by
Yeah.
the way, sir. Yeah, it's madness
Yeah.
here,
Oh,
by the
cool.
way.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah, but
thank you, my
it's
friend.
fine. It's
And,
different though. It's
and
different though. I'm
I
just here
know,
to
I
listen.
understand
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
And
right. All
Waleed
right.
too, are you listening as well?
We are staying on target here. We are staying on target.
Hey, be
I tell
precise
you
and
what,
accurate, my love. Keep going. Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna have a lot of time. Rich, can you maybe not sing? We're just singing to the dog behind me. I literally have like a 10-minute, and I don't care when I do it. So if everybody wants to do introductions, that's fine. I will try to tie it into yeah, all the
Well, I think
conversations
I've
that I've been a
navigated
part
this,
of.
Sienna. Hold on. I think I've navigated this.
Yeah.
Doc time, do you want to preface something here before I pass it to Jamin, and then Sienna can do the 10 minutes? All right, Jamin, do you want to? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Doc. Go ahead. Yeah. Jamin, do you want to say something or preface anything before Sienna goes?
Yeah, I just want to say welcome, Waleed, and welcome, Sir Digsby. You are absolutely at home here, and we're delighted to have you. And with that, I pass the feather to Sienna.
Yeah,
All
Sienna,
right.
take the
much.
time.
Thank
We've
you
got
very
this.
much.
Okay. I think Marley's going to jump in as well. And she will be a pivotal member. Just everything she does is going to kind of flow into everything that I'm saying. So we spent 2 weeks together last summer, just to give you a heads up on that. So when she joins in, I mean, we've already had, these discussions. I mean, some very similar discussions.
It's
but
recorded for posterity too, Sienna. Don't worry. Take your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I write things down I'm sorry, my little Jack Russell gets very panicky when she feels energy, and there's a whole lot of energy in this space today. So I apologize for the little piggy monster over here. So I've been writing on canvases. So this is one that, and I don't expect anybody to read this, but I've been trying to condense. This is like notes from the conversations that we're having. And I like to create kind of Venn diagrams based on the idea. So what's the idea? I will start there. The idea is to create a pilot program, specifically in the Montgomery County School District. But this I see, and I think everybody who understands the potential of it sees it as an international, fully global, scalable program. But we would start it here because Montgomery County, for those of who don't know, is in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. It's where, the kids of the policymakers of the world live. So they are not only very aware, probably much more aware of the significance of policy and activism. So we're better to start something that is what I am, and I don't want to use other terms, but just to give you an idea of kind of what we've been talking about, Jamin and I specifically, but with lots of other combinations of people. It would be a program that we introduced at first to the high schools that engages the kids in what I would consider like a combination of scouting, Model UN, Peace Corps, Boys and Girls Clubs, make kids excited about their future, get them engaged. I was a Girl Scout troop leader for 5 years to 18 girls, and we did all kinds of cool things. And we did river cleanups. We went to the White House. We got to sleep like right at the foot of the dolphin enclosure. I made sure that they were so excited about, and they were the ones who would come up with these trips. I would just give them a huge list of things, and it would be a reward. If we sold enough cookies, the net basically would be what would
The
finance.
fulfillment was the reward, right, Sienna?
Yeah. So you incentivize these kids some way, and I'm very good at creating that kind of thing. And this is all a collaborative process. I'm just throwing out ideas. To sum it up, though, because it is wide reaching, but it would start as a pilot program. and Montgomery County Schools, specifically Winston Churchill High School in Bethesda, Maryland, which is where, well, actually, I think the school is considered Potomac, Maryland, but yeah, we live in Bethesda. It's where NIH is, National Institutes of Health. It's literally, it's where I think 78% of the kids in the school district have at least one parent who was not born in the United States. So it's kind of where things are heading. But the diversification, if we can start kind of bridging the divide now between, oh, it's us versus them, or, oh, you're different, let's focus on the differences. Let's just focus on the fact that we're all human beings. We all live on this planet called Earth. This is our home. Let's start there. Everything else is secondary. So that said, it's like a think tank of kids, and it can be from all backgrounds. We can bring kids in from, less served areas. We can have, like little mini scholarships. I see this being a volunteer program fully, where there is no corruption possible, because it is a volunteer run program that's run by parents. I mean, it's like scouting, but it's above that. Scouting, I think each girl had to pay, it was about $125 a year. And that covered, I used to plan 26 events, and that covered everything. So, I mean, that's still pretty cheap by any measure, but I mean, this couldn't be more than that. And that would only be for the parents who could afford it. And they would basically be, offsetting the cost for anyone who can't afford it. But Montgomery County, again, it's a perfect place to start, because there's lots of big wallets around here. And I know so many parents who will be so excited about this. I was a front face volunteer for the school district for 10 years. So there are literally hundreds of parents who know me, know my family, they know my kids, they know what I'm about, and they will be so excited to be the pilot program for this. The best part, and this is where it gets very exciting, is the volunteer aspect of it. The way it will work and how we incentivize it is all these kids need SSL hours to graduate. That's student service learning hours. The minimum in my county is 75 in order to graduate, but you can go all the way up to
It's 40 up here, right, Sienna? Yeah, go on. Keep going.
Okay, yeah, I think every county is going to be different. Every state, I don't even know if all states require it, but I think most do. And so what Mike and I were talking about earlier is kind of, setting up a format, get the kids engaged, excited. We're going to have these auditorium events, which, I mean, I have drafted an entire plan for how fun it's going to be for these kids. But you get them so excited and engaged in the idea that they are going to be creating something that has the potential to change everything, because they are the ones, my oldest son is about to vote. He's about to turn 18, and it's blowing my mind. And I'm like, you have to start paying attention to what's happening. He's like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to vote. I said, you actually
Sienna,
have to.
before Jamin's jaw falls off, let him respond to you, because he's excited.
I'll
raise my. Oh yeah. No, it's okay. It's okay.
Up there. Let me scroll up.
No, Jamin, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to welcome my dear brother, Chief Phil Lane Jr., who just joined us. Welcome, Chief Phil. Great to see you. I've been meaning to reach out, and I'm so glad you're here. And we are recording.
Well, putting Mark and Chief Phil together was always on the bullet point, Jamin. But yeah, this is actually very cool.
Wonderful. Well,
okay, before.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jamin.
Oh, no. I just wanted to invite Chief Phil to speak whenever he's ready. And I think you're down in Palenque, Mexico now, where we were all together last year. And just feel free to chime in anytime, Brother Phil. And with that, I pass the feather.
So for posterity, to continue that, Sienna, to echo what you had said and articulated there, it just kind of, I know we only clued in on this in the past like couple weeks, and we talked about, an embassy and yeah, a whole new kind of thing. But it makes sense, it makes sense that we start where you and Jamin have talked about. It just does, because why not get the smartest kids on the planet? I know Mark and I will do the U of A stuff, and we'll do the Canadian universities. Doc, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I'm intrigued by the aspect of how the Model UN works in with the other stuff, because back in the 1970s, when I was participating in high school life, the Model UN was something that was readily all over the place. And there was very strict formatting as to what could be discussed and how it was discussed. It was a lot of fun and really would draw people in. So I'm interested in hearing how it works.
Was that
Passing
next?
further.
Sorry, go ahead. No, Doc, keep going. I think that was an accidental unmute.
No, I pretty much said what I needed to say. Thank you.
Jamin, go ahead, my friend.
Oh, it looks like Chief Phil joined via a separate account.
Yes.
Brother Phil, welcome.
Hey there, brother. I just had to come by and say hello and say that everybody's gonna miss you so much down in Palenque.
Oh.
You were a foundation key part of this whole effort there, and you and James and Marco and everybody. It was so good. So I'm wondering if you all can just send us in a letter that we can read at the opening ceremony. We're gonna live stream. You'll get a chance to read it. We're gonna live stream it.
Yeah, absolutely. When is the opening ceremony?
It's gonna be on the 20. It's gonna be on the 18th.
Okay.
It'll be at the 18th at 8 a.m. Starts at 8 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay. We'll be there. We'll be there.
Yeah. So
and we will definitely write a letter. James will be here a bit later, and we can coordinate that. So it's a letter from kindred spirits and all of us here. This is
yeah.
We're doing a podcast right now called "The Start Is Near," kind of as an opposite to "The End Is Near." And
Yes.
There's a bunch of beautiful sisters and brothers here right now who are very happy to see you, Brother Phil.
So nice to see you all.
Yeah, so please stick around as long as you can. I know you got responsibilities there in Palenque, but feel free to stick around and join the party. It's really wonderful. And
I would really actually, if I can take a moment here, Mark, do you want to introduce yourself to Chief Phil, because this is the person I've been trying to get you connected with.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes, wonderful. At long last,
Yes.
Chief Phil Lane. Actually, Heidi Little was also telling me a lot about you when I first met her.
Uh-huh.
So you have many people speaking very highly of you, and I feel blessed to be in this room with you now. Jamin and Marco and James and Mike are working magic, I see, as always.
Yes.
And I do feel like Palenque might be a magical moment to try and introduce maybe a missing piece of the puzzle called universal logic into the mix, and then supercharge it in all the educational and spiritual centers around the world to try and really galvanize that interfaith element and not just a multi-faith. Because when I was speaking with a few UN experienced individuals, they were very angry at what was happening. And they have about 20, 30 years experience. So it made me a bit concerned that we need a tighter unity to form. And I feel like you guys at One World are all heading in that direction. And I'm wondering if I can lend my strength and my knowledge to the incredible wisdom that you guys have, to see if this might play a little bit of a role in supercharging your guys' efforts and really taking it international very quickly, and charging that signal with Montgomery District, with Sienna, and the climate change movement, and what's called the mega crisis and the poly crisis. So with that, I feel blessed to have your ear. Thank you so much for giving me the space, Mike, and it's an honor.
Well, it's an honor as well to to meet you. And I'll be very, very happy to share. I think we're you know, what we're doing. We've been working on this for quite a while. Is we're going to really launch at our opening ceremony this Indigenous ally-led peace movement beginning here in the Americas, but also in partnership with with our relatives in Ireland and other places. But what we're saying is, you know, we have to address what's happening right here. And then once we really look at what's happening here, then maybe we can have something to share with somebody else. But until we really take a look at the issues that we're facing here in the Americas and begin to bring focus right here, and really it's difficult for us to make judgments on anyone else. And I think this covenant we've come up with is very simple. Our sacred covenant: unify humanity, restore Mother Earth. That's the foundation of the covenant of the movement. Unite humanity, restore Mother Earth. That's it.
Melissa, when you're ready, I'm reading your brain, my love. Go ahead, Melissa.
I just love what you said, Chief Phil. Hawa Ganeshis. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Reminding us all, unify humanity and restore Mother Earth.
Yeah, that's what we see as the foundation of this.
No, go ahead, Chief Phil. Please complete yourself before I pass it back to Mark.
Yeah, and so you know, that's what this is about. So it's going to be live streamed, the key moments throughout the gathering, and of course, you know, we're you know, just very pleased. And if brother, if we may, I'll send you along this statement on this covenant. We'd love to include Kindred Spirits Ireland on along with their other sponsors, so to speak, of this peace initiative. But I'll send it along so you can take a look at it first.
Sienna, you have a question, my friend?
Yeah, it's not so much a question. I have, yeah, I didn't really finish my my pitch, so
No,
just
it's
whatever.
okay. Yeah,
I can.
No, no,
it
it's right on
doesn't
time,
matter
Constance.
when.
You got this.
Yeah. If somebody else has their hand up, they can. I'm sorry, I'm just
Well,
not really
actually,
looking.
no, Sienna, hold on, take a breath. But I actually think that this might be a good time for you to recap for Chief Phil, because this has been a long time coming. So go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Chief Phil. Honored to meet
How you doing? Honored to meet you.
Yeah, this is just a very powerful space. So I will try to condense this down as quickly as possible, just because it's a very big concept. It's
Take your time, Sienna, because it's for the recording for later too. Take your time, please.
Okay. It's kind of, I've been trying to tie together all the conversations I've been a part of in the last month as a part of this group, and try to figure out the easiest path. I love like the Occam's razor approach to what could be, it's a complex issue, but it could have a simple solution. So I sit and write lots and lots of notes, and then I'll go through those notes again and condense, and I just keep trying to condense until the main ideas come out. So that's kind of what I'm gonna try to condense my list again. What Jamin and I, and lots of other people, but Jamin and I primarily have been speaking of with Melissa and Marco on most of the calls too, is creating and I'll just start as like a pilot program that is similar in ways, but completely radically different in all ways as well. We're not trying to recreate, we're not trying to take the wheel design. We're trying to create something that replaces the wheel. It's that kind of thing. So, but the pilot program would start where the policymakers' kids live currently, and primarily because that's where I live, and I happen to be in a zip code where I was a volunteer, a high-level volunteer for 10 years, and know how to, I know lots of people, I know lots of parents, and I know just the magnitude of the issues that we are terrified for our kids. So I was like, how do I tie this in with what this group has been talking about for the past, however many sessions? And that is, let's connect the thought leaders of the world, the true influencers of the messages that matter, connect them not only with their audience, with their following, but, engage their audience and following with within a community that we help foster through high level kind of conversations where they can share their content, their videos, their theories, their whatever. But now we're going to engage the high schoolers it will just start here. Again, I see this going global. The high schoolers.
We had to pick a country to start, right, Sienna?
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to start in an area, Washington, D.C., we're like the hated elite. And I know that. I grew up dirt poor with nothing. So I need everybody to know that too. I have both perspectives. But the kids who are falling through the cracks will see that they have the exact same opportunities as the kids, like my kids, because it's going to be a mentoring, not that, the rich kids are going to, mentor the younger kids. It's going to be, we are bringing volunteers. We are bringing, parent volunteers, we are bringing the innovators, the visionaries, the thought leaders who are making a difference or have the greatest potential to create an impact in the world on a positive level. So we bring all these things together. We bring in members of Congress, Senate, show them that the practice doesn't need to be corrupt. Industry doesn't need to be corrupt. None of this stuff needs to be corrupt. None of it does.
When you're ready, Sienna, pass it back to Phil or Chief Phil, but sorry, when you're ready.
Sure, that's okay. I still have a lot more to say. That's just the first letter. I've got HUG is what I wrote. I wound up writing today, and this is Chizzy. Chizzy is what I see kind of being the central, kind of aspect that ties everything together. But H is humanity. It spells hug, humanity, universal, and Gaia. To me, universal truths, once humanity understands the universal truths, then Gaia, everything else we just fill in the blocks.
I think those are amazing. I think they're very amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Those,
I'm gonna.
I think that you can actually.
No, go ahead. Take your time. Take your time.
Sorry, never mind.
No. Please speak. Please take your time. That's fine. I've got this. I'll do the moderation. Go ahead.
Look, no, you don't need to moderate.
Digsby, you're fine. Please take your time. You've got this.
Yep. I'm gonna need to jump off here in a minute.
No, sir, please don't do that. I'm going to actually leave. I think that if you guys could just take some time to look at what she's presenting to you, I will step away, and I hope that you guys see it, and I hope you see it for what it is. It's a really, really good idea.
Well, it is recorded for posterity too, sir. Go ahead, Chief Phil. Sorry.
No,
I
that's
just
fine.
wanted to say thank you, Sir Digsby. That was very sweet to say.
And thank you for this sharing.
I'm gonna run. I have another call coming up because there's, if you can imagine, so many things happening. Actually, I'm leaving in the morning. Brother Jim and relatives, I'm gonna leave in the morning, and then we overnight tomorrow night in Mexico City. Then we fly the rest of the way. Then we take a taxi from there, as you know, brother.
Oh yeah.
And then we have a reception tomorrow night. And then the next morning, on Monday mornings, when we have the big opening ceremony and so forth, that it'll be so great. So love you all, and just had to come see you here before we went to say we're gonna miss you so much.
Thank you, Chief
But,
Phil.
we'll be happy. We're looking forward to giving you your greetings, and thank you for sharing.
Love you.
How
brother.
long are you there, Chief
And
Phil?
nice
How
to
long
meet-
are you there,
nice to meet
Chief?
you. Huh?
How long are you there?
No, I was just saying actually leave in the morning.
Oh, okay, but how long are you at your next spot? A week or something you said?
Yeah, I'll be there about a week before I come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I stop in
If
Mexico
you
City.
if
on
you
my way
have
back.
time, I'll help you and Mark exchange emails or whatever. But I think when you guys have a one-to-one, it'll be beneficial for both of you. But thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you. I look forward to it very much. Glad
Thank
to meet you all.
Phil.
One
And we'll
time.
be in touch. We'll be in touch.
Okay,
over the
talk to
weekend.
you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.
All right, Sienna, you're still incomplete. So when you're ready.
Sorry, I'm like slow hand, you know, I'm the opposite of fast hand Luke. I'm like slow hand Sienna. I don't know. Big fat fingers. Actually, I've got really skinny fingers. I don't know what it is. Magnetic fingers, I think. Okay, so the essentials, and I'd like to bring up is she still here? Yes, Franca, is it Franca or Franca? Franca? I just want to pronounce that correctly.
Franca, like Frank.
Franca,
with
thank
an
you,
additional
thank
A.
you. Thank you, sister. Okay, so Franca, what you were mentioning about, you know, what you would kind of like change about the way children are learning right now. And you said that you would instill a sense of oneness, compassion, where it's like a chill type environment where they feel like there is a plan for them. I'm sorry, I'm actually right. I'm reading your exact words, so I apologize for not offering. I'll put little air quotes. You know, where they feel a sense of agency in their lives. So they're not just meat suits, or while they are meat suits, that they can play in this existence instead of just constantly being concerned about the distractions and the complexities of the outside or 3D reality. You mentioned the need for diversity, and I can't read my own handwriting, but essentially the capacity for them to grow as the highest being that they can be without the unnecessary ego reactions. That's kind of what I got out of what you just said. And please correct me if I'm wrong in any way. So how do you kind of incorporate that in? And we can't do it within the school curriculum because, you know, it's a nightmare. And that's not a fight that I am willing to start, honestly. But as a scout mom, you know, you are having, I think, almost more profound influence over these kids. I mean, I had 18 girls in my troop, and my daughter, all of her best friends across the board were in her Girl Scout troop, and she's now 15. So they started when they were 5 years old. So the significance of that is they are all natural leaders. They're more confident. They understand how to do things. I mean, we did like nature things. We did tons of money. I mean, we did so many cookie sales, and we did sales at the school for pizza and things like that. And they were the ones who were managing all of that, all of it. They would decide what we were getting. They would handle the money. And now I'm looking at them, they're 15 and they are so confident. These girls across the board, there's like, there's no there's no concern, in their faces. And I think most kids today are like, holy crap, what world is out there for me? But I think the
Sienna,
more
it's,
we
it's my
can.
role to do this, but when you want to pass it to Franca, go ahead. But Hope has her hand up too, and she's
Oh,
raised it
Hope is
twice.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will, hold on. I'm so slow on the draw here. Hi,
Okay,
Hope. Hi, Hope. Hi, Hope.
yeah, you've got it.
Hello. I think that everything is progressing very, very well, and it's exciting to hear. I do kind of want to touch on maybe something like the ideal of like how you said that this isn't just an idea that only elites can be a part of. Like, if your parents have the right income or the right address, then you can be a part of this world changing thing, and part of the conversation about what the world looks like. I think one of the ways to do that, like, I understand starting in a place that that you're already familiar with, and with a school that you already basically have children that you've been working with for a while. I totally understand that. But I think that also at the same time, like in tandem, we could be getting these same world leaders going into some of these other districts that doing the same exact presentation, whether it be on a street corner or in Camden, New Jersey, or actually just in one of the lower schools, and then offering them to be able the chance to start their own chapters and to be able to be a part of the same movement, so that they know that, and we could see the different types of things that different ones come up with. I think you guys will be very surprised with the kids sitting on the street corner, how they really think that one of the reasons why they're there is they don't think that going to college or going to any of these other things is feasible for them. But they are, some of them, great mathematicians. They can't work with some of the things that they're forced to do when it comes to the drugs, when it comes to the trafficking, at 10 years old, without actually having very high level math skills and very high level computation that they do all in their heads. They have great ideas that transform the world. Going into group homes, there are schools like in juvenile halls and group homes. Like, these kids, when they start getting involved in feasibly understanding how that they could be a part of changing a better world, versus just being a part of keeping the same dynamics of how the world operates, especially on the criminal level, they actually become, that's actually how we stop recidivism. Like, when we talk about people getting into high positions and not having the moral and the ethics and nothing ever changes throughout the world, this is exactly how we kind of have a chance to change it on that level, through the next generation. Like, how do we, organized crime took over every form of government. How do they do that? You get to the children, they don't grow up to be the highest level of organized crime. Like, from what I've seen, like even in cities in Mexico, they are the hardest cartels, and then they go in and then try to stabilize the city. Like, all they want to do is create a better world for their children. And so that specific territory won't have any of the corruption, won't have any of the craziness that any of the other territories have. So we know that it's not a world that they actually want to continue. It's a world that they've only known, and a world that they solidify. And then when they go to DC and they lobby, they get a lot of these things, laws kind of like pushed through, and the world never changes. But if we get to the youth to show that we actually can be better human beings, and we can create better worlds for the next generation and the next generation, I think that will probably make a greater impact than just going to the school with the kids of the policymakers that have always just made the same, they only know how to make the same policies. And do it in tandem, and then get that data back and see what's working and what's not working within that set. And and then the thing is, again, is if I don't have another chance to speak today, I just wanted to iterate that it would be great for us to have a website on this, because each chapter can actually add what's working, what's not working. They'll also be empowered to be able to connect with others as they're doing all these different types of chapters. And again, we could start with just 2 schools. I'm not saying to do anything big or any crazy, or even just start with 1 corner. But I think that a website will be extremely important for connection across the board and organization.
When you're ready,
across
Hope,
the board.
pass it to Marco, but when you're ready, take your time.
Okay, I'm just gonna say two more things, and then because I know you guys are gonna be here for a long time, and then I'm gonna just be gone. But the two other things is there's a lot of people doing a lot of work. One of the reasons why I was doing the movie called One More Day on Suicide Prevention and Human Thriving was because people aren't aware of all the work that's already being done, so they can't connect to each other to actually have that organization where things exponentially, everyone's doing things in little small pockets. And so I wanted to bring that awareness. And so like everything that you guys are doing, whether it be the after party, whether it be MoCo or whatever it is that you guys are doing, there are a lot of people that have already been doing a lot of the groundwork that can alleviate a lot of the things, and they're like structured to just give funding, or they're structured to connect people and mentorship. And some of the work is like by Chris Anderson, who's the head of TED Talk. He has 2 organizations that are already exactly in mind, that have been trying to connect with people to do these very exact things. So it'll be really great, like to be able to connect with some of those other nonprofits that can and also like with Peter Diamandis with the X Prize and stuff like that. Because when it comes to trying to accelerate as fast as we can, fixing things like the environment that we're going to have heavy repercussions with really fast. Connecting with each other in these ways is how we're going to speed up the process.
Hope, if we can't win the X Prize, no one deserves it.
I think there you go. I think we should be connecting with these people this week just as fervently as we're doing with the Paul Beckwiths. It's all connected. And the last thing that I'm going to say is, I know that we have a lot of hopes, and we think that in a lot of ways that we're going to connect people with big people, like whether it be policymakers in Washington, D.C. to mentor the children, and that because we don't necessarily want any money, that there isn't a way for the children to be exploited. But I do want to stress that connecting people to the right people, the right adults that have the maturity to, or even have the right training, that even know how to actually work with kids in an appropriate way, is going to be vital, because they could be so easily exploited. And there's been a lot of organizations that I've seen from the group home standpoint where they've tried to do some great, amazing things, but all the and the same thing with Job Corps and some of these other great things where they meant really well, and they had this connect them to jobs, connect them with purpose, connect them globally, connect them with mentors, and it ended up unfortunately happening where abuses did set in. Heavy abuses by people that were deeply respected, and people were really shocked and surprised to find out that actually was happening. It was hard for them to believe, and so therefore it made it even harder to get it to stop. And once it, like, that rhythm was already in place so hard, and it just becomes a big mess. And so how we do this from the ground up is going to be very, very important to make sure that the children are indeed receiving the program the way that we intend it to be received. And that should be mindful in the organization and the leadership of how we begin. Thank you. And I wish you guys all a phenomenal day.
Yeah,
So
thanks
Hope, I was just
thanks so
I was
much,
just gonna let
Hope.
her breathe for a second, Marco. But yeah, Hope, you came in and dropped the mic, my love, and thank you so much. Marco, go ahead.
And I'm so grateful for everything you said, Hope. And I want to assure you that every point you just spoke of has been addressed in these smaller meetings of the more core group right now. And we've had talks of being able to integrate some of the less privileged schools by Zoom, or busing people in to take part in this at the same time, not that they'll be second or third, but they'll be
Simultaneously, right, Marco?
Yeah, simultaneously included and given just as much voice as any other child. And I think
If I may, a Pacific Palisades High School might actually be a perfect place to start as you're doing the school in Maryland as the 2 first schools, because Pacific Palisades High School already has a program where they're busing kids in from Compton, and they've been learning try to, especially what to do with the kids. They don't necessarily get the bus back to Compton right away or to Watts right away. and they're just sitting around in the neighborhood, and it's caused like all kinds of different problems. But like an after school program just like this actually might actually get them off the street and not waiting until like 8 p.m. waiting for it to get dark to try to get back to their really more dangerous neighborhoods. So and it's already a system that's already in place, so it would be easier for us to get started with those 2 tandem schools.
Hope, can you stick
Yeah.
around long enough for Sienna's response?
Yeah, Hope.
I will try. I don't know when that's going to be, but
I know.
maybe I
Well,
can sit in
Sienna's
for
got her
like
hand
another
up.
30
Sienna, if
minutes.
you want to go before Hope gets out here.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I mean,
Hope, Sienna.
only if you don't have to leave, Hope. It's yeah, this to me, the pilot program is just one that I know I can run individually. And the reason for that is because, yeah, the people I would bring into this are basically like saints. And if that is the pilot, for which we can then have a second, third, I mean, it can grow as quickly as possible. And I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback for starting in Montgomery County, but I've got hundreds of people in
Let
this
me
county
handle that,
who know
Sienna.
me.
We've got this.
Hundreds of people in this county who know me, and the parents of these kids work at United Nations. They work at World Bank. They, you know, their parents are ambassadors, and you know, I know how it sounds. I've been called a rich bitch multiple times on these spaces and out of touch, but I'm more in touch with all this shit than, I mean, I'd love to have somebody try to out, you know, bad childhood me, please. You
Sienna,
know,
give me a couple weeks. We've got this. Carry on.
well, I mean, truly, it's and it's not a competition. I don't want any of this to be a competition. It's like you're called to a greater mission, and we are connected here. And let's see how we can bring our ideas together. Let's see where the overlap is. And there is zero competition here. It is just, this is
Oh, I
what is
just meant that
happening.
I was making a joke about our
No,
morning
no, 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 no.
conversation, but yeah, you got me.
Don't misrepresent. Basically, what I would recommend is anybody who knows of something that's even similar to what we are talking about. We're not trying to recreate the wheel. What I would like to do is have a huge list of all these organizations, ideas, concepts, clubs, groups, see what works, see what doesn't work. We are creating something completely new, completely unique. And if it's already out there, then we should partner with those people. But yeah, I mean, there's billions of different things that we could consider here. I think we need to make our primary passions and considerations be at the top and just keep condensing down. And to me, this is a program that starts with high schoolers. The high schoolers then create the programs for the middle schoolers. The middle schoolers then create the program for the primary schoolers. And then the primary schoolers can create the program for the preschoolers. And it will be this thing where all these kids are engaged. And once they learn and feel comfortable with what they have taken in and understand the potential that they have for the world that they are about to go out and raise families in and try to work in and try to enjoy their lives in, it would behoove them to start paying a lot more attention now. So we engage them from, and then we get the university in too. Mark can do that. Yeah, I mean, this to me is like, yeah, I have all these different things: high school, university, global. I mean, global is to me when you bring in all ages of kids, yeah, all the way down to 2 or 3. You know, because truly, not everybody is born, you know, wins the lottery of life when they're born. And if there is like one kind of, and it has to be almost led by saints. It does. It has to be led by people who have zero personal agenda, don't care if their name is attached to it. It's just like, what's the best thing I can do for the planet, for humanity, for the future of all life? What is that? You know, what would that look like? And to me, that is the mission. And anything that does not align perfectly with that mission is not of the quality that we're going to have moving forward. So yes, we need to have a pilot program. We need to show what this is about. This is a zero corruption. This isn't even just a nonprofit. This is a parent and student led, almost like movement.
Well, Doc and I've even said something about this, but Doc and I told you this morning, we need an embassy. We will get there. Waleed, have you been paying attention? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I kind of do.
Yes, of course. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through clear.
Perfect, because I couldn't get the camera to work, but I'm listening very carefully, and I'm very happy to be here. It's amazing to be among you
Okay,
all.
you take your time and then pass it to Doc time when you're ready, but take your time, please. Waleed, go ahead. Take your time, please, and then pass it to Doc time when you're ready.
Perfect. I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad to be among you all, talking about helping the young generation see the world in a different way, and to kind of bridge the old ways and the new ways together as the last generations that know what the old ways were, and to be able to adapt them to today's kind of style, and to be able to bring that in schools and help kids in early age, I think is the best that anyone can do. I'm just blessed to be here. I'm listening. So if you have any questions to me, it would be awesome. If you'd like me to introduce myself as well, I'll be more than happy to. But
we'll get there, my friend. Doc time, go ahead and then let Waleed introduce himself after you're done.
Okay, what I was going to say is that right now, while we're envisioning the process, how about let's getting a couple of high schoolers here for next week so that they can contribute to the process as we build it, and let us know where
I can get
we're
some
out of
in here
touch.
in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, I
Doc.
was gonna say, Sienna.
I have
Yeah,
three
yeah.
of them.
Go ahead,
I
Doc.
have 3 of them who are all enrolled in Montgomery County schools, all in the next room or in their own respective rooms. And yeah, I would love for them to finally see that I'm working on something legitimate, because they all just assume that I'm crazy, and that I'm for 5 years, just so everybody knows, daily they say,
Are you
"Oh,
accusing us of being
Mom's going to change
legitimate?
the world today." What?
Are you accusing us of being legitimate?
Legitimate? Well, I don't know. Are you guys legitimate? I don't know. You'll have to prove yourselves legitimate to my husband. Jamin's the only one who's met him. My husband is I have a family of skeptics. How about that? But my husband is, he's the greatest skeptic of them all. So, and he's also very, very intelligent, but he is he's very 3D. He's very rational, practical, logical, rule following. If it doesn't, if it's not scientifically proven, it doesn't exist, So yeah, this kind of thing is like, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's word salad. That's what I get told every day.
Well,
I'm talking
we
word
have
salad.
a plethora of teachers and a shortage of students.
Yeah.
Doc time and I have been talking about Hogwarts for over a year now, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Doc.
I
No,
think we
it's
more
okay. I
have
wanted
like
to flip it over to
Hunger Games.
Wahid.
It's Hunger Games right now. Oh,
Yes.
I'd love to hear Waleed.
Well, yeah, Waleed, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Can I introduce Waleed just a bit?
You can, of course, Sienna. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
and then he can introduce himself, but he's not one to boast as much as he should. Waleed was born in Egypt. He saw a very a war that he had no interest in participating in, and it kind of that set about kind of this cascading series of events that led him to Switzerland. And now he has 3 kids. He's got this motivational wellness business. I mean, you can open his profile on X. I don't think he has an ounce of fat on his body, and he's so ripped, it's insane. But he and I co-host a space on homeostasis and wellness every Monday. So with that, Waleed is he's just a genuinely very good person who wants to do whatever he can with his his combined kind of like skill set of knowledge and experiences and do the best he can for the future of all things. So with that, welcome, Waleed.
Wow, amazing
Yeah, I know.
introduction.
You got to hit this one real hard. She threw you the pitch, my friend.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Sienna, for the amazing introduction. I was hoping to get the camera working, so I was switching between desktop. Somehow the camera is not working in the desktop, so I was switching on my phone so you can guys see me as well while I talk. I think that's the least I can do. But yeah, thanks a lot, Sienna, for the introduction one more time. As Sienna said, my name is Waleed. I'm very big on fitness and mental health, let's say, and the power of our thoughts into creating the reality that we live. And I love bridging science as well as spirituality together into actionable steps for people to use and improve their daily life, let's say, to say the least. And as Sienna very well introduced me, I have been taking my own decisions since a really young age, and that led me to go a long way to build my own path in life, basically, which involved me escaping Egypt because of the military obligation and because of
What year was that, if you don't mind sharing, Waleed?
that's 2004.
Yeah. And how old were you?
16.
Yeah. All right, carry on. Thank you, my brother. Carry on.
You're more than welcome. And yeah, I'm 37 now, by the way. So it's my life's journey basically that I'm sharing with you here, which involved me escaping Egypt because I had no other choice, either go to the military or leave the country, basically. And I left the country. That was a very conscious decision that I had to pay for at least 15 years before I could even return to Egypt and finish my papers and become a free man, let's call it. And I've built a brand new life in Switzerland from scratch, building a business and a family and learning different languages. And yeah, I'm just blessed to be here, and I have a good feeling that I'm here for a reason, and I hope I can add to that energy that you are having here.
I
So,
love you, brother.
thank you all. Thank you all for that.
Marco, go ahead.
I have no words right now. Everything's happening as it should be, and right now my place is to, as I like to say, one mouth, two ears, listen at least twice as much as I talk. And
Well, with that, actually, Victor, if you want to be vocal, my love, can you speak? You don't have to, my friend. I don't know if you were listening or not, but go ahead, Victor, if you are present. In the meantime, I think that he's incomplete. All right, Sienna, what are you seeing?
Oh, I'm not singing. I'm just doing it. Oh, there's Waleed.
No, I said, what are you seeing? Like, go ahead, Michael, if you want to, Prent. Mr. Michael
I think
Prent,
you said
go ahead.
singing. Sorry.
My cold is doing better listening to all of you. It's healing to hear all these great ideas. But I wonder if we're thinking more like an after school program, like from 3:30 to 6 or something. And we could have a vegan stew for our students. And we could have different speakers come in, and it'd be a certificate program where they get honored for their participation, and maybe it could be like an 8-week program. That's what I'm thinking. Structured.
Go ahead, Doc, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
no, I agree with Michael 100% there. That an after-school program after the event that continues on a medium for participation and gives out rewards to the students that are really staying with the program. But it would be worth our while to see what things the students need in order to be able to get their degrees and have the program count. Because I've worked in schools a lot, and it's a lot of time and effort to get a program going. And if the students don't see that they're going to get credit for that program, they're gone instantly. Pass feather.
Go, yeah, no, go ahead, Michael. You can answer that and then I'll take it on after that, but go ahead, Michael.
No, I think that's good wisdom from somebody who's been there and done that. You're right. You got to reward the kids, and they love to earn credit for their high school graduation. You know, we can help achieve that. So we're helping kids by helping them graduate. That itself is a great achievement we can attain. Thank you.
The other thing that's a really good reward is, well, in person, it's food. So I wonder if we could find a way that the participants could get some sort of package that has a message, information, and some cookies and other things that maybe aren't the best for their personal health, but would make them let them know we appreciate them by participating with us. Sienna.
Go ahead, Sienna, sorry.
Yeah, a lot of these things we've Marco and I and Jamin have already kind of brought up. So I can go a little bit further into what we have already discussed, just so yeah, I want all the ideas, but just so everybody knows, we've considered a lot of these things. So what I used to do with scouting, and this is kind of what I picture, is we would have a co-op kind of thing where, you know, I was the troop leader, but like I said, I would do 26 events a year, which is a lot. So every time we had an event, whether it was a Girl Scout troop meeting at the school or an event outside of the school or cookie sales, whatever, I would always have another mother. And it would that would be a rotating thing. And whoever that other mother was would bring the food. She would kind of, you know, direct and she would get to pick the topic, because we had this entire kind of like, an entire notebook of topics you could pick. And then that mother would lead the activities while I was like in the room, you know, kind of like doing whatever the story time was and the activity that was required for the Girl Scout side, but she would be leading everything else. The parents that I know in this community, and there are literally hundreds of them, are all, I mean, some of the smartest people in the country. It's just the way it is. They are all very, very, very volunteer, like they're wanting something they can bite their teeth into right now. You know, I go to soccer games, I go to lacrosse games, I go to basketball games, I go to volleyball games, and I know all these parents, and across the boards are like, I don't know how my kid who has a 5.0 GPA is going to get into University of Maryland. Those are the conversations we're having right now. So to me, and the fact that all these kids need SSL hours, and they're all basically, you know, right now experience on a resume, whether it be a college application or a job application, experience is far more significant than, you know, where you went to school anymore. You know, it's kind of flipped. It used to be, oh, you know, you get experience, you know, right out of college, but now it's kind of like, oh, you didn't intern or you didn't do this. Imagine how it would look on these kids' resumes, applications, whatever, that they built something from the ground up. And the parents, and we would have very specific background checks. And this is required of any parent who does anything in the presence of kids in Montgomery County. So we staged that as a precedent. You know, there's not going to be any creepy, I don't know if Hope is still here, but you know, we rule that crap out. It's not going to happen. And there is zero abuse that happens in Montgomery County because the rules are so specific. I mean, you do not hear about any of that weird stuff because the parents wouldn't stand for it. So we set the bar so high that, you know, in order to be a part of this program, and you almost have to be certified, you know, and the certification can be online. It can be run by volunteers. You know, my husband runs an app development company. He runs a real estate development company. You know, we know so many people in the DC area across broad areas of expertise. And, you know, we just start putting the feelers out there. I could send an email out to 500 people tomorrow, and I bet you 95% of them would be on board with what we're trying to do. So just so you understand how I envision this happening. It is going to be so simple. It is going to be so common sense. It's going to be so, oh my gosh, this would just help. It would help. It would help the kids. It would help the parents. It would help the school systems. It would help, you know, crime levels. It would help engage, you know, the next generation of human beings who are going to be in charge of this planet. They will feel seen. They will feel heard. They will feel safe. So, and I'm a freaking mama bear. Everybody here needs to know this. Whatever you think about me right here, I have 3 kids, teenagers. I have the house where all of the kids come, all of them. And there is respect, there is love, and it is an unconditional love. The kids of my friends, or the friends of my kids, bought me like Christmas presents, and they all gave me a card, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, because that's the energy that we put out is a place of it, you know, if you're here, your family, and if we can put that into a program where it is true, you know, it's not just something we say, it is, listen, we are recreating every single system that there's ever been. We're using, you know, what worked in the past, and we're ditching what didn't. And we are creating this as parents and as the kids who need to have some kind of hope that the future they're going into is something that's going to bring them some element of joy, you know, because right now I'm not seeing it, you know. I mean, these kids are like terrified. They're like, oh my gosh, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to get to college. You know, I need to have like 150, you know, hours of this, and I've got to have this. And I mean, it's so much pressure. These kids are under so much pressure. So I don't know, just trying to ease that load by doing something fun where they can get their SSL hours for creating something that they then in turn can put on their college applications. As I started, you know, I was at the grassroots effort, you know, level impact of something that I see can be global. And yeah, we integrate with these or collaborate with these other organizations. They're already doing something similar, but I just don't want to limit what we're doing based on what other people are doing, because I've yet to hear of anything that is you know, quite at this level.
We're the coolest thing going, Sienna.
Yeah,
you're on a roll. Cool. You're on a roll, my love. I was gonna say, I don't know if Mark is wanting to answer this, but I know that you're reading my brain, my friend.
Ooh. Lola has brought something dead, or I think it's just a piece of cheese.
Maybe we could have the students visit family farms and learn about farming right from the farmers.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's what Melissa Montessori wanted to do. But with the 7th, Michael, go ahead and then pass it to Doc. But yeah, you got it.
No, I'm passing the feather to Doc. I'm all set. Thank you.
I think the idea would be to create out of school learning environments and not try and hook in with the schools at all. Because, well, maybe with what Sienna's doing as a pilot, it needs to be with the schools because it needs to be moved in. But I perceive formal schooling and the education process as having derailed at about 6th grade. And it might have derailed at preschool because we teach a number of things that are then part of the lives of those children. And right now, children don't have time to be children. I remember we used to have a thing where we used to play outside and we didn't have a screen attached in front of us. And maybe the programming should be an activity that can be gone to outside of the school, where the learning can then be individual and then done in groups in learning environments that we set up at places like zoos and other local places that kids can hang out, planetariums. I live in a town of 750 people. There's not much for kids to do here, but in cities, there are things to do, and there would be plenty of partners that I'm sure would be willing to allow us to gather to give immersion experience as opposed to being set out and I'll go back into that seat and listen to me talk at you for an hour. And then a bell will ring and you have to rush off and be in the next place 5 minutes later for the next 48-hour indoctrination period. So that's all I'll say about schools, because I don't like to worry about fixing things. I want to invent the same thing in a different way.
You're on a roll, my friend. Sienna, go ahead.
Yeah, it's this to me is not in any way linked to the school other than the that's where we kind of get the kids engaged and the parents engaged and sell it as an SSL level experience, which is not linked to anything. You know, it's just this is an organization which is allowed to sign off on SSL hours for kids. You know, I probably am still able to sign off on SSL hours, but I wouldn't, because it's, it's immoral unless it is a specific, community event that has to be, it's wide reaching,
Okay, catch me up. What's SSL? And
that's student service learning hours. And that is what most high schools, and I don't want to speak for all high schools, but in our school, you have to have a minimum of 75 hours that of time that it spent in service to the community in some way. And
okay,
there's always a parent, basically volunteer, who's there, who is background checked, like I was always background checked and deemed to be a responsible party who could oversee events in safe fashion and sign off on their hours. So it's that kind of thing where, it's not just like somebody can walk in off the street and say, oh, hey, let me plan an event with these little kids. It's no, it would all be facilitated by parents, because parents are the ones who typically are volunteers overseeing the SSL activities. So this would be 100% volunteer. It would be parents who are truly engaged in, their kids' livelihood and kids. I mean, this doesn't just have to be the parents. It could be the kids who then go to their teachers and say, hey, there's this program, and they're offering to parents, who have a lot of money have put some money into this fund, because it's going to be completely nonprofit, to help kids from, lesser served areas, get bused in. I see this being global. I see, kids who have specific interest, areas, passions, whatever, being able to go wherever in the world, that is the primary topic. And to that end, I wanted to bring this up. So, I'll kind of run through what I see if we approach Montgomery County schools. Just say we're at Winston Churchill High School. We're on the stage. There's 2,000 kids in the audience, and I get up. I am Princess Leia. This will make sense in a second. And I introduce myself. I mean, a lot of these kids are going to know me. I introduced myself as, a parent of 3 kids in the school system who's kind of, wanted to make the greatest impact that I could for the future. Because I see, things that I see right now, I'm not quite happy with. I'm going to make it very broad. There's going to be no bias, no political leaning in any single thing I say. And then I'm going to introduce Jamin, or Darth Vegan. He will come up and we're going to have a very funny interactive skit together. And I see Marco up there as Mystic Marco. He can be up there in his yoga or his Buddhist attire with like a magic ball, and we can take questions from the audience. I wanted to throw out one idea, Jamie, that I hadn't brought up to you because I was just writing it down. But we were talking about doing a survey, kind of a questionnaire, via an app or a website that we can go in and introduce what we're about to do in the school. And then, I mean, it can be like a multi-pronged process where we go in, we introduce it to the teachers, administrators, principal, and get them on board. Then the SSL, process begins, where we would basically just, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a crazy process. I mean, everything about this is going to be a positive for, for everybody, for parents, teachers, schools, everything. So we start the process of getting this integrated with the school. And then by the time we do the auditorium thing, these kids will have filled out their top hot points, their top hot buttons, whether it be the environment or, economic, fiat system or AI tech space. It's endless, the different topics that these kids are going to be at the top of their list. But if we do a survey, say a week before we do the auditorium event, we can kind of narrow down the focus of the kids in that school. And, like Mark does with his ever leaving meetings, he's basically trying to simplify the process by which people have conversations. Being the scout person that I was, I would always try to simplify, and make the meetings and the events that we had so fun and engaging. Yeah, we went to the zoo several times. We went to the White House. We slept with the dolphins. We did lots of nature outings and creek cleanups. And I mean, it's endless. We did, just tons and tons of events. But the kids were so engaged. And I think today kids are they're so distracted, like you guys were saying, on their phones. They have 15-second attention spans. So how can we also factor something in where, and I had actually come up with something years ago called NED, which would be No Electronics Day, as kind of like a pact that families could make, that, and it could be any day of the week, just one day where they agree to, or one day a month probably would be more feasible. But there's lots of different things that we can start recommending within this program that are health and wellness related, lead to a greater sense of homeostasis as a whole. So I have thousands of notes. I don't want to bore everybody to tears. If everybody's on the same page with what I
This
said.
is fine, and you're on recording for later too. This is fine.
Okay. So Jeopardy. You guys are probably all familiar with that game, Jeopardy and Price is Right. So my brother-in-law actually is an Emmy award-winning game show host for a different show, but I think it was called Family Game Night. It was on TV. But he, for almost 20 years, has hosted something called The Price is Right Live. And, every single audience is like 5,000 people, and they get to, it's the same thing. They go up on stage and get to play for prizes. So that's like an idea for October, but it's how do we get these kids, and engaged in something that is super fun, super interactive. My favorite teacher was like a history teacher, 40 years ago or so, and he did Jeopardy in class, and it was everybody's favorite thing because they were actually learning and they were excited because it's like, oh. So what I picture is almost like a contest that we set up within the auditorium where, based on the topics that these kids pick, and some of them are going to be overlapping, but we can kind of assign and bear with me for a second because I know how it sounds, but a number to each one of these kids based on their interest. And when they come in, it's going to be like the kids who are most passionate about the environment are going to be in section 1. The kids who are going to be most, however many topics we identify, I would say between 3 and 4, otherwise it becomes too confusing. But within that would be kind of subcategories of within those topics. And if you see what I'm saying, the kids would basically be lumped with, based on the number, and we could narrow it down very quickly. In the surveys that they've taken, they will be lumped with the kids in their school who they may not know, they may have never spoken to, but it's like, oh my gosh, this kid has the same interest. I mean, like almost exactly. Hey, and then we're standing up there saying, this is an opportunity to start a club. You know, you can do it at your own homes. You know, there needs to be somebody over 18 who's kind of, you know, help monitor what's happening. It can be any parent, it could be a teacher, just somebody who checks off and says, you know, this is what they're doing. And then we create just a very simple format for how to engage with thought leaders, how to engage with policymakers, how to enact change, you know, and why it's important to care. So I have a whole lot more on here. I'm going to go hit the loo for a second. I'm going to carry the phone with me, but I will be, the camera will not be on, and fortunately the sound will not be on. But I'd love to hear, Mark, I see you nodding. I would love to hear what you think, because we haven't spoken in a bit, but are there any other hands up there or not? So anybody, but yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say, Mark.
Wow, interesting. As soon as you said that and you went on mute, I got a phone call here. Is that a sign that somebody else is supposed to jump in for a second? Maybe, guys, because I have to take this for a second. This is really synchronistic in a way. Hold on. Hi there.
If I may jump here in a moment till he comes back, if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Yeah, perfect. So I've been hearing a lot of beautiful things, and I'm really, really happy about the whole idea. And the one thing I've heard that kind of resonates with me from my childhood and my school time is the idea of the classroom, and taking that whole pilot project, or that whole idea, a little bit outside of the classroom, as the concept of the classroom itself is a little bit outdated. Let's say that, in my opinion, at least. And then to find the things, as Sienna just mentioned, to find the things that the kids really love doing. And if there is any way, for sure, to gather them together according to their passions and their hobbies and so on, which will by itself, I think, kind of break the whole idea of bullying. So that will be in itself an anti-bullying program, without saying it's an anti-bullying. Because as I mentioned, some of the early speakers, once the call started, was talking about the kids giving the false information about their eye color, and then that makes them believe that they are superior to other kids. And I think bullying is kind of in that direction. It's kind of some kids thinking they are cooler than the other kids, so they act superior, and the other way around as well. The other not cool kids don't feel as superior, so they kind of they come under, if I may say. And if we can gather them together with the things that they have in common, that they would otherwise not even know or notice that they have these things in common, then that would by itself be anti-bullying. And if we would even find a way for those kids to pursue their passions, that's something I talk about very often, and to earn their own money within the boundaries of the things that they love doing. Because that all comes back to looking forward to the future. And as most kids are almost traumatized to get out of school, because they know that once they get out of school, they will hit the real life kind of plateau where they have to have a job for the rest of their lives. And that doesn't seem like a very motivational step, I would say, in their transition from students to adults. And if we can teach them how to make their own money, I think that would be the best way to kind of guide financially independent individuals that will not gonna be into that whole financial crisis before they even get out of it. And if they can do that by not just by having a job to pay the bills, but by finding their passions early on and then being able to pay their bills with those passions. I think that is just a very big dream of mine that I had since a really long time, that I'm trying to still share that message. It's not for children only, so I try to teach grown-ups as well because they hit the same kind of plateau where they have a job that they don't like and they are stuck in it, but they don't believe that they can achieve anything outside of that job. And I kind of guide them and help them find their passion that they even had when they were children. And that's why it resonates a lot here that we're talking about school kids, basically, because they are still very connected to that pure energy of theirs, where they have so many passions that I try to remind people with right now. And that connection usually sparks the idea of what they used to like before they got way too serious, or because we're children, we like to laugh and play and do a lot of things. And then once you get out of school, now it's time to be serious. Now it's time to get a job. Now it's time to pay the bills. And then they kind of grow up way too fast and they get way too serious. And then you see everybody not so happy in the way they deal even with each other. But if we can reverse that, instead of wait till they grow up to remind them of their childhood, how beautiful it was, if we get them in that early age where they are already very connected with their higher self, if you will, or with their energetic being, before they are kind of pushed into the system of get a job, pay the bills, and then wait till you get old so you can make a holiday, kind of. I think that's just what I wanted to add in here. So thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Waleed.
I'm not sure if Jamin wants to speak on that. I don't know if he's there still or not, but
Oh yeah, I've been here throughout continuously, haven't missed a beat. I love what basically everyone is saying, and you know, we had started this inquiry off with you know, with Chizzy and an articulation of our vision of the after parties to specific events or presentations. And so what I'm kind of tuning into now is the possibility of, you know, exactly as Sienna is saying, kicking this off in Montgomery County, and then, you know, expanding it, as Hope said, with chapters throughout not just the United States, but throughout the world. And then each of these chapters being able to organize their own events, which they also broadcast throughout the world. So it really becomes kind of like a network of these different chapters at different high schools, where even within a single high school, you could have multiple broadcasts happening simultaneously. And then for each one, an after party that anyone around the world in any high school around the world could participate in. You know, one of the questions then becomes, how do we, you know, bridge the gap between students and non-students, or is that even a gap that we would care to bridge, or do we keep the high schoolers only, you know, working with and interfacing with other high schoolers and of course, their parents, administrators, and teachers?
I don't necessarily want Doc if he wants to speak on this, Jamin, but I think maybe that's a good one.
Sure. Passing the feather.
Just the integration on like what age group. Sorry, Doc, go ahead.
What you're saying is all well and good, but it's going to require a whale of a support infrastructure. So imagine doing it once and building from there. Imagine doing it thousands of times in thousands of high schools isn't going to help us. Just run through one event and let's see what the costs are, how much time it takes, what the volunteer effort is, and sum up all the things that go into it. And I'm sure a lot of things will be solved by the participants, not us working it out. But let's keep it down on the scale that we can handle with the people in the room, because I can see getting to one high school where there's already an infrastructure. I don't see getting to 10 high schools where in every part of the world they're each different. So let's work through the scaling and see if it can scale up to universal before we start spending a lot of time planning the universal. Michael, did you have something?
No, that's good scaling. That's good scaling outlook. That's good planning.
Go ahead, Michael. Yeah, sorry.
That's good planning and good thoughts. So I agree wholeheartedly. That's really a good overview of what we're looking at. Thank you, Doc Time.
Okay, I'm back here. Sorry, guys. Are you guys in the middle of? I think Waleed said some cool things I caught a little bit of, and Doc, you have some cool plans. I think you were just telling me this Fibonacci stuff in the background. I don't know if Sienna is still in the loo, but she's hardcore, so maybe.
No, she can hear you. She's listening the whole time, just not on camera and muted.
Okay, so what I sort of want to come in and blaze a trail on here is I've been keeping track of the time of this meeting the whole time, so the last 2 hours, because I think as we're going to get going, we need a different kind of economy on how to share, or else we're going to become the meta crisis. It's going to get in. So right now, Michael, I'm taking your time. You have 5 minutes and 17 seconds left by the end of this meeting. Well, at least by the end of this hour in 21 minutes. So I'm mapping out the time. It's this ever-living meeting thing and seeing how good we are as a group in terms of sharing. And it will cause problems down the road because our subconscious minds are keeping track. And I think that the universal unit of value, at least in quantitative form, is probably time itself. And then we're going to have all these accounting mechanisms to approximate for how privilege, which has come into this conversation many times, sort of distorts the inner game. And it's the inner game that's killing us, right? We have tons of material power and wealth. We all this crazy human awesome stuff. We've conquered nature. We're flying to the stars. You know, we don't have a limitation of the sensuous external connection. It's the internal connection that's missing. And so I feel like we can start to be the solution if we're correcting how we're sharing. So right now, how things have ended up here after about an hour and 40 minutes of talking, or what is it? Roughly an hour 40? Yeah, or 100 minutes of talking. Is Jamin has 2 minutes left.
You're on track, Mark. You're on track.
Yeah, Jamin has 2 minutes left. Mike has 3:55. Frank has 7:29. Marco, I talked to behind the scenes. He gave all his time to Sienna, basically. Michael, Prent, I'm taking your time. You have 3 minutes, 50 seconds left. Sienna used up her time. Doc time has 4 minutes left. Melissa, I gave all your time to Sienna. I gave all my time to Sienna. And Waleed used about 2 minutes of his time. And then the rest was to Sienna. And then he actually used some of Doc time's time. So I was like doing this automatic donating thing to see what would happen. So right now, Sienna's talked for about 40 minutes. And we only have like 4 people left with any time. So you guys can basically dictate how this meeting closes in the last 19 minutes here. And
Mark, can you articulate who's got what time? Because this is interesting. Sorry, Michael. Yeah, no, I'll explain this, but go ahead, Mark.
I'd like to donate 2 minutes to Jamin, please. 2 minutes to Jamin from Michael.
Okay. Wonderful.
And
okay.
the rest to you, Mark. The rest of my minutes to you, please.
Okay, I got a minute left. So yes, I'm saying that like Sienna's bringing in a lot of potential. She's bringing in an amazing opportunity, right? So she should get more time, you would think. But there's a way that this virtuous economic cycle stuff starts to spiral up where eventually it kind of turns into this slave mechanic again, just like we've had for thousands of years. So in order for us to offset that right now, before we jump into this amazing opportunity where basically we have all the wealthy privileged kids teaching all the other ones and we get another sort of like virtuous cycle, I feel like we have an incredible opportunity through Sienna's amazing dialectical background, where she was poor and she's wealthy, she sees the whole thing. That's the perfect setting for sublation and empathy. But we have to do something like Doc Time is kind of pointing in this direction. He's like, wait, we need to start putting things in place. And I sort of agree that we need to start following this Fibonacci sequence of sharing and do it before we start the sharing, because it's really hard to go back and redistribute once critical mass is going. So I just wanted to say I have been tracking this this meeting time, and okay, that's my 1 minute. Michael, thank you so much. We'll see what people think. Franca is technically next if she wants to speak. Or Melissa. Oh, Melissa, you're out of time. You need to take it from Franca, but anyway, for you.
Can somebody give me a minute? Since I could donate all my time without.
I give
donating.
Melissa a minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
give
If you
her a
want an extra
second
30
minute.
seconds.
Thank
Sure.
you.
I give her 4.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Franca.
For Franca? Okay, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I had to jump out of the conversation a few minutes, well, half an hour ago, but my daughter's about to get married, so she's calling me and it's, yeah. So anyway, a while back, I really wanted to bring up this conversation, so thank you, Mark, about the way our minds have been colonized. And as an arts educator, I've had to go through a lot of programs about race, about colonialist thinking, and really start to reprogram my own mind and the language I use and how I speak to people of color. Like we use all these different terms that are very denigrating, right? Well, anyway, I'm not going to quote any. You guys know enough of them. So I really like what you're saying, Mark, because I think in order for this program to succeed, we really have to think about how are we speaking? How are we thinking? How are we engaging people? And we really need other cultures in here in this conversation so that it can be a holistic conversation. That's all I have to share. Thank you so much for your donations of time.
I kind of think that I agree with you, Melissa, but I think the technical aspects of how things build in emergent form are whoever shows up is welcome. But how do you go outside the group to get people you've never met to suddenly show up? I wouldn't begin to know where, nor would I be comfortable to try and do so.
If I may, Jamin and everyone here, it might behoove us to go to the afterglow in the next couple minutes. Marco, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I put in the chat some information and a link to at least one story on it. The NASA study that was done on that they commissioned on creativity in children, and so the earlier we get to these children and show them that they still have control over their lives, as this current education system slowly takes that control away from them, and the world beats that out, but the education system is still designed for a workforce that's not going to exist in a very short time. So the whole education system needs to be overhauled, and the sooner we give these kids the opportunity while they're creative, they can create this all for themselves, and that's what I feel is really what I want to see happen. All right. With that, I'm complete and pass the feather.
Well, Jamin, I'm not really sure how to bookend this as eloquently as I can, but we are probably in afterglow territory. I know that Doc Time and I are going to re-listen to this very shortly, and I think we've done. I don't know how to even pull this off again, but this has been months in the work, and I really appreciate it, Jamin. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Happy to shift to Afterglow. I've got lots of thoughts, lots to discuss. So I thank everyone. If anyone has any last comments before we end this recording and start the Afterglow recording, please speak up. Passing the feather. And thank you all for being here.
I have a last thought, and that is that however anybody tries to do an education program is the right way to attempt to do an education program. And that rather than being critical of not getting things perfect, it's just getting the forum for youth to participate. And if we go younger and have the younger children teaching older children, I think that's going to be very, very effective, because older children don't like it when their younger siblings tell them stuff that they know is right, but they didn't otherwise know. And so getting to build confidence in the youngest of our children to be able to speak and understand without having to know everything that the school system has dumped on the older children might be a very good consideration as an approach to take. Mark?
Yeah, okay. We have 12 minutes left before the top of the hour, and I do have a lot to kind of say, and I wonder if Waleed does too. But in terms of the education, Sienna said earlier that, you know, this is SSL, we have to use the system, and then Lenny, you're sort of saying the opposite. It's one of these nuclear dialectics where it's like, well, the education system is wrong in some way, and I agree, Lenny. Dr. Time, I do think that if we are gonna go into the system, because it's the fastest way to create this paradigm shift, when we have like 6 months left basically to get something massive shifted, we do have to use the public system. It's the fastest, it's already interconnected. To rebuild the schooling system internationally would take forever. So we have to use it, but I 100% agree with you, which is why I started tracking the time, is to meet you there. Where it's like, we're not going to repeat the sharing model that's been happening since colonialism. Wealth concentration is rapidly increasing, not because we have bad people. It's because the system itself is built that way when you don't have the proper regulatory system, because you get into these hyper competitive adversarial competitions, which is like this race to the bottom. And then good people feel like they have to make these rationalizations to stay competitive because the other person is the bad person. So you get into all these like moral quandaries. And I really feel like it's because we have the wrong economic units that we're measuring. The sacred measurement is time. You can't get your time back. So Marx kind of said something like that. Hegel said something like that. You know, all these amazing gurus of divine history said something like this. So I feel like to sublate that, or to bring those opposites together, Sienna's point of view and your point of view, Doc, while we have such an incredible problem on our hands, we have to take this incredible talent of these young people who are talented. We need their help, and they will be great teachers. But the way the sharing has to happen has to approximate for sensuous privilege, so we can get to the super sensuous inner game where we are all equal. So there's a hierarchy in sensuousness, but there's a flatness in super sensuousness. And that's another of the 200 nuclear dialectics that's starting to poke its head even in this conversation. So I hope that hopefully prevents that splitting from occurring, because I feel it already occurring. And we can't afford to be on the stage with Marco's, you know, mystic guys on, with Jamin and Sienna sticking their necks out for everybody. We can't afford to have that go wrong. And these nuclear dialectics will have that happen. So I just used up your time, Doc. Thank you for that. And then Melissa's got 3:54. So I should probably let her have some final comments, or maybe Waleed should use this time. But I have a funny feeling that this timepiece is going to play a big role in keeping us balanced as we're going to go to infinity here. And I think it is going to follow the Fibonacci sequence somehow as it scales into the groups, Doc. So I really feel like we need to get your work going in tandem with, like, not just having the county, Montgomery County schools taking this on, but they're just like a conduit to spread it to like tens of thousands of other schools. And your model seems like the perfect one that can handle that incredible power. So I see the pieces kind of aligning, and I hope you guys didn't mind me doing this measurement stuff now. It wasn't a perfect meeting because I was just doing it behind the scenes, but really if we did a 24-hour version of this, by the end, everybody should have equal time. That's how a totally just system might work, I suspect. And then it will stop this virtuous economic and the vicious economic. And what will happen is when you have really good people who are in the virtuous, right, like Sienna and these amazing people, the way that they try and pick up the people who are stuck in the poverty trap is they go down with their power and they pull them out. But this is charity, not justice. So we want to have as much justice as we possibly can. And I really feel like this conversation needs to happen at the same time that we keep doing the fun networking and these amazing updates that Jamin and Sienna and people who are in those privileged circles are going to have access to. It's just going to keep coming to them. So instead of pulling them down, we need to do a Pareto economic adjustment. And if we don't do that now, it's going to create more meta crisis a little ways down the road, especially between the wealthy high school kids and the non-wealthy. They already know who the wealthy kids are. It's just waiting there as a nuclear dialectic to sabotage the momentum we're going to get going. So I just want to plant that seed right now to start having these kinds of meetings, taking them seriously as we do the cool networking stuff, and then supercharging that with universal logic and getting the Phil Lane thing going. 100% Mike, I really feel like that needs to happen because they're all avoiding it. All of these spiritual leaders are like kind of looking at it, but they're in some kind of weird spiritual way, they're sort of avoiding it, which makes me think that that's why the spiritual leaders aren't really solving the meta crisis, because that is happening. So that's my piece. Thank you so much for letting me refill my time. Hopefully we can do that for everybody. But with a minute of Melissa's time left, Marco, maybe I'll pass it to you, unless Melissa, if you wanna jump in.
I'll use 30 seconds if I may, and I'll pass the rest to Marco. I really like what you're saying, Mark, and a native spokesperson I heard recently said that a good leader stands at the bottom of the totem supporting the whole community, which is the visual that I get from what I was listening to you say. Over to you, Marco.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. I agree. It's like you used a couple of terms there, like race to the bottom and pulling up as charity. We need them to rise with help in a way that that their ego feels, that they've raised themselves up, that they've had as much a part, that we're equal, that they are raising themselves up and not feeling like a charity case.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm complete.
Okay, while we're closing out here, we got a few minutes left. Franca has 3 minutes, Mike has 1 minute, Jamin has 2:40. So how do you guys want to close the meeting, I guess? If Franca's still here.
And welcome James from Cork, Ireland. We're in the last few minutes of the start is near, and then we're going to shift to the afterglow. Passing the feather.
Yeah, hi all. Sorry for being late and everything. So no, couldn't be helped.
Wonderful, Franca.
Ignore their basic needs. Time spent in the tranquility of our institute allows their prime.
Does anybody want to use it? Waleed, I don't know if you're feeling last comments or anything like that. I have to write two appeals to judges today, and I have to file 2 papers. So I'm under a lot of pressure, and it has to be like today because the weekend it's going to be apparently too late. So I just couldn't miss this because I felt spiritually called. And Jamin, I hope you don't mind me doing the timers thing. And really, we're touching some nuclear dialectics right now. So if people who don't understand what we're doing see this, or they might get a little bit triggered. But I feel like this is like the gentlest way we can bring up a nuclear dialectic, like explosive content. But I feel like, yeah, does anybody else feel like wanting to make the last 4 minutes worth of closing remarks?
Looks like Franca has her hand up, Mark.
Oh, I don't see it. It's not on my screen, but go ahead, Franca.
Hey. I'm gonna go off camera because I have I think it's a big deal to think of the curriculum, the syllabus for the kids, or at least the offers. And I'm a psychologist and I work in organizations, so I feel that there is so much more, and I'd like to be part of whoever designs the curriculum in regards of how to use your brain rather than just own it. Like where to take yourself and your inklings seriously and where to not, and where to override them, and just to be mindful of this amazing brain of yours and what tricks it plays on you, because it was, well, it's a story mainly designed to keep you safe. So even if you're not particularly traumatized, there is that inner guardian that will look out for all these triggers. I don't want to go into it too much with all these last minutes, but before anything gets rolled out, I'd love to be part of whoever keeps designing it to give my 2p.
Wonderful. You got 22 seconds left, Frank, if you want to give it to somebody.
Well, whoever wants it, I'm happy to have it. Gosh, Sienna, do you want to add any last thing?
I just wanted to say I'm honored to be here. I still have a whole lot of notes to share because I've actually, I mean, now that I'm like thinking about doing this, yeah, I'd really like to kind of perfect how it's done and my zip code, just because, I mean, everybody's got their wheelhouse. This is 1000% my wheelhouse, and I'm so excited about this. And I can see so many ways to make this successful that I'm almost to the point, and my husband hates when I say this because he says, oh, futures. But yeah, I've planned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events, hundreds. And sometimes I get a little nervous and I'm like, ooh, can I pull this off? This one, I'm like, every single thing about this is going to flow. And it's not just because of me, it's because of the parents that I know within this community, because of the principal I know at Winston Churchill High School. These people are like really good people, and they will hear about this, and we're going to make it viral. We just will. We're going to make the goodness part of it viral. And then anybody who is, we're not trying to recreate the entire program, but any of these other organizations that might already be doing something similar, let them, we can all join together. This does not have to be some competition. It's just what's the best thing to do for the common good, period. Let's start there and then fill in the blanks. And to me, it doesn't have to be hard. It just doesn't, if the right people are having the right conversation, which is what's happening right now. So that's all I have to say until the afterglow.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off though, guys, just to get a head start. Maybe if I get a head start on this or get a grapple on it, I'll come back. But your final comment in terms of the curriculum, what's the greatest good? Can we start that with like the spirit, nature, logic thing? I feel like saying that because it seems like all these curriculums will do the community service learning in a well way, but I really feel like that's where it needs to start because it encompasses all possible knowledge. I'm sorry. Okay. 39 seconds. Anybody want to close this out? We're good.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for bringing your spirit here to this platform, enlightening us and lifting us up. Hawa.
Hawa. Hi. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'll
Thank
just
you,
jump
guys.
in there. Oh, sorry, Walid.
No problem. I heard there were a couple of seconds left. I just wanted to thank you all. I have a lot of notes I wanted to talk about, but I think we share the time fairly, as Mark said. And then next time for sure I can share more about what I learned today and what I feel I should share with you guys. So thank you all for being here.
And to be clear, Walid, this is the end of the podcast now. Now we go into the afterglow, and we're all here to discuss and carry on.
And meanwhile, James had something to add. Go ahead, James.
No, just wanted to say I came in very late in the conversation, so I can't really comment on what was said previously. But other than that, I heard you mentioning curriculum at the end, the latter part of it. And it's something I was talking about the other night as well, that I think it's not something, the curriculum is not something for us to design. It should be for the students. The curriculum should be their curriculum. What are their concerns for the future? What are their major concerns for the future? And as I said, if you kind of put out a small kind of survey to them, on the spot survey to them, listing one being their worst fear for the future, and work it to 10. You could then bring in experts, whichever has the most votes first. We say it could be, we say obviously war now is on a lot of people's minds with what's going on in the political climate, but climate change and other things, they'll all come up in the topics. That way, then we're not actually going to the high schools and saying that we have this particular curriculum. It's not about, we should bring it to the high schools saying this is about the students and about their concerns for the future, and we want them to talk openly about it. The only thing that the high school should have make an agreement on is that they can't really prevent the students from talking about certain subjects, because if they are the students' genuine fears, then they have to talk about them to deal with them. So that way, then we're not actually saying we're putting any curriculum in anyone's mind. That this is a program for the students, first and foremost, to address their concerns for the future. Secondly, to give them a place to talk to about it. And then thirdly, maybe have some agency over those issues as well, by bringing in experts that they can maybe get involved with the research and studies of projects or whatever they may be. But they would actually be the ones designing the curriculum, because it'd be the subjects that are most dear to them, that they want to talk about. That's the way we should introduce it to the institute or to the high school, because then you're not going there saying, we want to bring these ideas to the students. No, we want to bring a platform we want to bring a platform and an idea to them where they can engage and have a place to engage, and to actually get involved with other high schools and branch out and form bigger groups in the subjects that are most dear to them, those concerns that for their own futures. Therefore, I'm bringing experts that they can listen to and then talk to, and then maybe co-create with them for the better future. That would be the best way to put it, rather than saying we have a curriculum set up. Let them set it for themselves. Anyway, talking too much, past the better. Lovely meeting you all. And those I haven't met before, lovely to meet you.
Beautiful. Thank you, James. And thank you, everyone. And with that, let us conclude episode 15 of The Start is Near. And now we'll shift immediately into the afterglow. So ending this recording in 3, 2, 1.